Well, good evening, good evening to all you wonderful wisdom walkers out there. This is Jojo Pomaria and Sarama coming to you with astrology for self-mastery for most of the month of February. Yeah. Um, we had on February 1st, full moon, a Leo full moon, and um, most of the stuff for February wasn't even available yet because astrologers have been overwhelmed from the information with January and behind in getting stuff ready for February. So I did an extensive Leo full moon for you, knowing that I could get to the rest of the month. And I'm going to tell you, get out your popcorn, get some water, get in your easy chair, lay back, because this is going to take a minute. I think I might be talking for 90 minutes. I don't know, but it's a lot. And it's a good lot. I mean, we are in one of the most powerful times in the history of humans on this planet this time around. Yeah. And so I am going to take my time. I'm going to focus and break down this information for you with information I've gathered, interpretations, my own input, my own interpretation with some of this, and really help you understand why you may feel like you're being pulled apart at the seams energetically, emotionally, for some of you physically right now. Yeah, it is quite a time. Quite a time, yeah. Hey, Tracy, good to see you. She's amazing, amazing. Yeah, love it. So let me give you the opening quotes for this month. This time I will be able to read them. The theme for February is Go For It. The month starts out with a potent full moon in Leo, supporting the clarity of our passions, but testing our courage, self esteem, and motivation at the same time. There is an energy to this month that is relentless in its task to push us in the direction of our purpose and liberate us from what is in the way. Yes. You will see this in the bigger picture of world events, politics, and social reform as well. And that's from the wonderful Lena Stevens, The Power Path. Next, we are at a threshold of a new era. February 26 marks the beginning of a new collective cycle and initiates us into a new chapter of our evolution. And that's from Moon Omens, www. And their February astrology. And then last but not least, my astro butterfly says the Saturn-Neptune conjunction on February 20 to 21st at 0 degrees Aries is so significant, so rare that it's hard not to think in terms of the world before and after February 2026. Whether the Saturn Neptune alignment becomes a clearly defined event that will still the headlines or planting the seed of something that will set the direction for centuries to come, this is a major threshold moment. We are living in extraordinary times. Wow. Wow, wow, and more wow. Yeah, it is. It is quite amazing. I am so happy to be on the plane at this time, making my contribution to help bring this world into what the monks were talking about, which is loving kindness, compassion, and of course, peacefulness. Yeah. Just a reminder that February here in the United States is the celebration of Black History Month. It started 100 years ago. It started out as a week, and it took from 1926 into the 70s, and I think really finally in the 80s before it really got, officially declared by Congress that this was an important thing to do. Yes. And there have been more months honoring the different cultures and people of this country since that time. Ashe. Also, we are still at this time for another couple of days into the Aquarius season. So, happy birthday again to all you Aquarians out there. You are amazing. This is your time in this century. And yeah, your work is extremely important. So make sure you're taking care of yourselves and learning what you need to learn to be the leaders that you are for this world. Ashe. And here are the impact days for February. Really, every day is an impact day, but in the beginning, after the first, it'll be the third, the sixth, the 10th, and the 13th. In the middle, 17th and the 20th to the 21st. I really could add on the 22nd. And then at the end, we have the 25th and the 27th. And I will unveil for you in just a moment what those are. So let's jump back to Tuesday, February the 3rd, because this is a really big one. This was Uranus going direct in Taurus. So let me give you a little background and some bigger understanding about Uranus. Uranus brings with it a new way of looking at things, and its approach is best met with an expanded consciousness. Originality, inventions, computers, cutting edge technologies, and future events are all ruled by this planet. Uranus sees no need for the status quo, preferring instead to break with tradition and create a new mold. Freedom and creativity are important to this planet, so it brings the energetic for rebellions and revolutions. Lastly, in keeping with its sudden, sometimes violent, and often unexpected manner, Uranus rules earthquakes and other natural disasters. It takes Uranus 84 years to complete its trip around the zodiacal wheel. So, meaning going from Aries to Pisces takes it 84 years. Yeah. Now, it's closing out its transit in Taurus. Uranus went retrograde in Taurus for the final time in our lifetime on November 7th, 2025. As Uranus shifts into direct motion and approaches the end of his transit through Taurus, the forward momentum and the speed of change accelerate. There is a sense of urgency relative to closing cycles and breaking free from outdated patterns and timelines. And of course, we'll be hearing this over and over and over and over and over and over again in these aspects I have for you. The prominence of Uranian energy supports our ability to access new insights, while unexpected twists of fate and quantum leap into the future are more likely. This is an opportunity for us to be proactive in creating a life aligned with our true values and with the interchanges that took place while Uranus was retrograde. So, more understanding of Uranus in Taurus. In the sign of the bull, Uranus has been revolutionizing the very foundations of our lives, our values, our financial systems, and our definitions of stability. Since 2018, this transit has revealed outdated assumptions about security, exposing the fragility of the systems we rely on, and teaching us that true stability cannot be built on rigid structures and attachments, but emerges from inner resourcefulness and resilience. Uranus and Taurus has been asking us to break free from scarcity mindsets, outdated ideas about self worth and productivity, and old survival strategies rooted in fear. He's been challenging us to create radically new foundations for our lives, material security, and self worth. Yes, yes, yes. So Uranus went direct on February 3rd. This is the very last leg of Uranus's journey through Taurus, a journey that started back in 2018. Whatever Uranus and Taurus's mission was, this transit meant different things to different people depending on our natal charts. This is the final bolt of lightning exposing what still wants to break free, pushing things toward the right timing. It's now or never. A big chapter is coming to a close. Wow, wow. And I have a great nephew who is Taurian and also my brother. Yeah. Hey, Daphne. Good to see you here. Good to have you here as always. So, this is huge, folks. This is not a little thing. This is huge. And think back to 2018 and think about what has shifted around what Taurus represents, which is, our ability to, set up security, set up a foundation, set up, things. And think about, were you doing things out of fear or were you doing them out of love? And what has shifted now? What have you learned as a result of Uranus coming in and blowing stuff up? Hi, Kathy Brown. Good evening to you. Absolutely. So yeah, and Uranus's next home is going to be in the sign of Gemini. And that's going to be really interesting because Gemini is about education, it's about knowledge, collecting knowledge, it's about communication. Yeah, it's going to be really, really interesting. So to all you Taurians out there, I know you're going to be happy when Uranus leaves your sign because it's been working you. Absolutely. So now we jump to February the 5th, that Thursday, and we had this Mercury who is in Aquarius squaring Uranus in Taurus. Simple mistakes can throw off your entire day as this careless aspect can truly throw you for a loop. Double check everything from emails to start times. One wrong move can create major problems later on. Yeah. And so that is some disruption energy. That's what squares do. And, their purpose really is to help us become more conscious or to give us an opportunity to practice. Can I really be in charge of my mind or am I going to go into reaction over stuff not working out the way I need it to? Yeah. So that was on the 5th. And now on Friday, February the 6th, we had, yeah, Mercury entering Pisces. This transit is an opportunity to strengthen our connection with our intuition, with our inner compass, with our inner guidance system, and see what happens when we prioritize following that instead of the rational thinking mind. At the same time, this transit can bring some challenges with discernment, self deception, and daydreaming. And it offers us an invitation to make sure we don't get lost in the fantasy and to dream with our feet on the earth. Now, I have to tell you, I am Pisces. I love daydreaming. I love to dream. I love to fantasize all that stuff. But Pisceans really can have one foot in the water and one foot on the ground. We know how to do that. Or our head up in the air and a fin on the ground and one on the water. But this energy is just saying again, with Mercury coming in, just be conscious of the possibility of, some miscommunication, some deception happening during this time because Pisces, how can I say? It's not that we don't care, but it's that there's so much that we hold inside about what is going on that we'll just drift sometimes. Yeah, because we're like, yeah, I know this, that, and that, well, let's see what happens. Yeah. So again, it's just saying, be mindful. Just be mindful. Here, I got some more message for you about this. Mercury feels a bit fuzzy in the last sign of the zodiac. The good news is that this is the first time in a long time when Mercury is not accompanied by Neptune, and from February 14th onwards, by Saturn in the sign of Pisces. The focus now is less on trying to figure out the complex collective storyline and decoding the bigger context, and more about our everyday relatable experiences connected to the Piscean area of our life. When in Pisces, our mind automatically becomes more in tune, picking up subtext, atmosphere, and subtle signals that an intellectual Mercury in Aquarius, for example, would miss. So Mercury in Pisces helps us listen between the lines. And this is a real benefit now with the Saturn Neptune story building in the background. And that's from Astro Butterfly. Yeah, way cool. So then we come to Sunday, February the 8th, and we have another square. This one is Venus in Aquarius squaring Uranus in Taurus. This is a rebellious aspect that could bring disruptions in relationships and or finances. However, since Venus and Uranus are in mutual reception, we can be inspired to explore new ways to improve. A square doesn't have to be disrupted if we reframe it as an invitation to do things differently. Absolutely. And again, this is about the home, around the home. And Venus is about, our self-worth, what we value, what we understand as love. So this square came to really, do a little shaking and shimmying up, so that, we really can do what the call of this time is about, which is breaking out of old belief systems, old paradigms, old structures that no longer fit, no longer work. Yeah. And then on Tuesday, February the 10th, we had Venus entering Pisces. Yeah, so Mercury went first, and now Venus is there. The planet of love and beauty swims happily in the romantic and imaginative sign of the fish. Over the next few weeks, we all become starry eyed lovers as we spend time nurturing relationships to grow and develop during the spring. Feed your fantasies. Venus is exalted in Pisces, which means it feels great in this water, a compassionate sign. When Venus transits the sign of Pisces, we are encouraged to embrace compassion, empathy, and spiritual connection in our relationship. And just to note that where there may be blocks to that happening, yeah, this energy is going to help you become more conscious of it. Yeah. Because it is very powerful, Venus in Pisces. Let me give you some more message about this. As Venus enters Pisces, the sign of her traditional exaltation, the invitation for us is to soften and to become more compassionate and emotionally open. This transit emphasizes the importance of cultivating a relationship with the divine, keeping our hearts open, and orienting our lives according to spiritual values. In Pisces, Venus inspires us to explore art and creativity as a tool to connect with and surrender to something greater than ourselves. And that's basically what spiritual means, y'all. Something greater than our physical 3D selves. Yeah. While this transit is a time to gravitate towards soul centered connections, it's also a time to be cautious of idealism and fantasy. During Venus's journey through Pisces, we need to make sure we stay grounded in the present and pay attention to any temptation to idealize others or engage in victim savior dynamics. You all know about that one, right? I need to be saved, or oh, I'm going to save everybody. Yeah, good luck with that. Now, just like with Mercury, this was the first time in a long time since Venus has had not to share her favorite sign with Neptune and Saturn. This means we can focus on enjoying this 3 week transit, especially since for much of it, Venus will be trining Jupiter in Cancer, which makes an already great Cancer transit even better. Yes, yes, yes. Those water signs, you gotta give it to us. It's amazing. But let me explain something to y'all too. Pisces is at the end of the zodiacal wheel. So Pisces embodies, at a spiritual level, all of the elements and the characteristics of all the other signs. So it's like a wisdom spot. It's the one that, you know, does have access, let's say, to more of what maybe Aries doesn't have access to. And the thing about Saturn and Neptune having been in Pisces, one for 14 years, the other one for about 2.5 years. These are hard things with Pisces because Neptune gonna make you even more spacey. And then Saturn is saying to you, okay, you got to make your bed, you got to tie your shoes, you got to brush your teeth, you got to get to this meeting on time. It's like it's doing the taskmaster thing, right? And so, Pisceans have been through it. And what happens when these energies come and work on a particular sign, that sign is growing. Yeah. So what does that mean? That means there's going to be people born Pisces who are not at the level of conscious I was when I was born. Right? So it's a difference because of Saturn and Neptune going through, and they ain't going through again in the sign of Pisces in our lifetime. Yeah. So I just want you to be aware that there has been this growth process that is happening. And there's some other astrologers talking about this, talking about, we need to step it up with our interpretations and understanding because there really is this growth going on, this healing and growth that is going on in a way it never has. And so with Venus in Pisces, it's going to be really interesting because it's not your regular rom-com situation where you can expect how that happy ending is going to happen. It is like, what happens when there's no victim savior component to it? What kind of happy ending is that going to be? Yeah, yeah. So I'm really excited. I'm really excited for us to begin to see, the learning that is going on, the results of that learning. Absolutely. Hi, Sai and Mama Betty. Good to know you're here. Love you. And I have one more message for you about Venus entering Pisces. Um, Venus from Aquarius to Pisces, love as an act of devotion. Wait a minute, I got two more messages because I thought this was really, really important. I found it just yesterday and I said, no, I got to put this in for you. Ruling both Taurus and Libra, Venus has to do with both how we inwardly relate to ourselves and the way we relate with other people, as one always mirrors the other. See, mirroring. Yeah, that's important. This planet is associated with issues of self-worth and self-love, receptivity, magnetism, and our relationship to abundance and pleasure. Venus transits show collective shifts in how we love, in what we enjoy, what we value, and how we define wealth. In Pisces, Venus heightens our creative sensitivity and romantic longing, During this transit, we yearn to merge with who and what we love. We yearn for mystical union, and we desire to surrender to a love that is unconditional and all encompassing. Yes. For those of you who have what they call twin flame, I call it a beloved connection. Just know that the energy with Venus and Pisces is very much in your favor for reunion, if that's what's required, or just a deepening and an understanding about the sacredness of a beloved relationship. Yeah, really, really cool. And then this one about Venus and Pisces 2026, the call of the sacred. In the mutable waters, in the mutable water sign of Pisces, Venus is traditionally considered to be exalted. This means that Venusian qualities can be expressed with ease. During this transit, love can flow freely without boundaries, and it will be easier to access feelings of unconditional love. This transit challenges us to honor our empathy without losing ourselves, to love freely while remaining grounded in self respect and discernment. Venus in Pisces is an opportunity to pay attention to how we may use romantic love as a way to fill an inner hole that is supposed to be filled by our relationship with the divine, with source, and with life itself. This transit teaches us that the love we seek outwardly often mirrors a deeper desire, a call to reconnect with something sacred and feel one with everything that exists. Wow, right? Wow, like really some deep, deep, deeper meaning here. And I got this from Moon Omens. And yesterday was Valentine's Day. Um, and I just sent messages to everybody, my family, to all my close friends. I even sent to some clients, because it is so important to be expressed in this unconditional love. Yeah, it's not transactional. It's not romantic in a how can I say, in a depleting way. It's really about this unconditional love. So, once again, during this transit of Venus in Pisces, just take note of how you are experiencing yourself as a loving person. Yeah, really take note of that. So, now let's go to February 13th, one of my most happy days in a long time, and I'll tell you why. Hi, Maria Brown. Good evening to you as well. And here we go. Ta-da! Yeah. Saturn left Pisces and went into Aries. Woo! Saturn enters Aries now for good. And as soon as it ingresses into the sign, it starts applying a conjunction to Neptune. With both planets in Aries, we can expect a very concrete shift where a direction forward becomes blatantly obvious. And that happened to me. That shift, the subtle version of it, might have first emerged last month. That's true, with Neptune's ingress into the sign. But Saturn has a way of making things crystal clear and obvious. So do pay attention to what happens around this date. Saturn will stay in Aries until April 2028. And to all you Arians out there, good luck. All I can say to you is it's going to whip you in shape. It's going to whip you into shape. You will be very grateful at the end of April 2028 that Saturn came and visited your sign. Yeah. So here's some more message for you. Self mastery is essential when Saturn is in Aries. As Saturn begins its journey through Aries, we collectively embark on a path to self mastery. Whew. We are being asked to take greater responsibility for ourselves and our choices, and to cultivate resilience and perseverance. In traditional astrology, Saturn gained a bad reputation, and his transits often tend to be feared. However, Saturn is not a harsh punisher, but rather a wise elder teacher who always rewards sincere efforts, resilience, and commitment to growth. Saturn teaches us to take responsibility for our actions and to accept their consequences. This planet is connected with both our fears and insecurities and with our capacity to commit, persevere, and work hard enough to develop true mastery over ourselves and specific areas of our life. Since March 2023, while in Pisces, the Lord of Time has been leading us on a journey of emotional and spiritual maturity or maturation. Now in Aries, Saturn will challenge us to develop a more mature relationship with anger, frustration, and the inevitable limitations and obstacles we encounter in life. So let me just pause there because this is just giving some validation and putting a spotlight on what the venerable monk Bhikkhu Panakara and his team of monks have been teaching the world by walking here in the United States from Texas to Washington, D.C., and doing not once but twice a day teachings about you need to control your mind. You need to learn how not to react and give your power away when something disrupts you. You need to learn how to access your peace, which isn't out there, it's inside, and then you project it out. And the monks, again, oh my God, on their 108-day journey, and then a couple of more days added on. But to get to DC on 108 days, that's what they have been demonstrating to us. And Saturn in Aries is bringing us an energy to help us continue to do the practices, to follow that wisdom so that our self mastery, okay, you wisdom walkers, yeah, that our self mastery really gets more concretized. Yeah, that we stop just, you know, going like this and that just because, somebody says something we don't like. Yeah. I could talk about this all day. I'm telling you, this is so powerful. Good day, Miranda Hurd. It's nice to see that you're here. Wonderful. Yeah. Yeah, I could talk about this all day, folks, because it is so powerful. Now, here's another part to this message that I was jumping up and down about, and I'm so grateful to hear this because it really makes sense to me. So here we go. Yep. Saturn in Aries, Unplugged from the Matrix by Astro Butterfly. Saturn has a very specific function in astrology. It makes what is vague, elusive, or imagined real. Saturn gives form to Neptune, making the intangible tangible. As soon as it enters Aries, Saturn directly taps into Neptune's ocean of potentialities, the 4D reality we've talked about, and pulls something out of it, turning what was only an idea, a vision, or a feeling into something that actually exists in the world. Now, isn't that the story of the venerable monk, Hanakara, who said he'd been dreaming, thinking for 2 years about doing this walk? And then it was in October that it finally came to fruition. And it started out small and it grew like, just like overnight, it just grew. And that is like this energy that she's talking about here. The vision becomes formalized, it becomes a reality. So, what has been gestating during the Neptune and Pisces is now ready to come to the surface and take shape and lived 3D reality. And that's what happened for the monks. This doesn't mean we are creating something from scratch, but rather giving form to something that has always been there, held within 4D potentiality. As Saturn crosses that 0 point into Aries, it moves into a space where the old rules no longer apply and where there is no return to unconscious living. And that's why the monk kept saying, be mindful, be mindful, be mindful. We are no longer in the matrix, and we can no longer be, because once reality checks in, once we see what we see, we cannot unsee it. Woo! Wow. Wow, wow, wow. Yeah, no victim savior, powerful. Absolutely. And no more pretending we stuck in the matrix. Yeah. I think the monk's energy really helped unplug us too, because what they accomplished, what they did, how they did it, seemed impossible, even to them at first. And this is just showing you that we are ready as humans to go to this higher timeline. We are so ready. And yeah, it won't be all of us going all at once. That's not how the universe works, but it will be enough of us. And the monks proved that, walking through the deep south and showing that there's so much love, there's so much support, there's so much understanding for, yeah, we want peace. We want to feel at peace. Love it. Love it. So now I'm going to take a breath and I'm going to get some water, because we're about to enter into the meat of February. And I actually pulled this information from Moon Omens. It's an invitation for you, and it's going to talk about the energies of the last half of February. So here we go. Message for the second half. Invitation. During the second half of February, we will experience a drastic acceleration in the pace of events and in our evolutionary processes. On February 20th to 21st, just a few days after the start of eclipse season and the year of the fire horse, we finally experience that exact conjunction of Neptune and Saturn at 0 degrees of Aries. The two planets have been conjunct for most of 2025, yet they were still completing their cycle. And they call that the balsamic phase. And I've been sharing that with you in every astrology video since 2025. So now Saturn finally crosses over Neptune, and the two planets begin a new cycle that will last until 2061. I would be 110 years old. So this conjunction happening on the potent 0 degree, ground zero, I call it, of the first sign of the zodiac marks the threshold of a new era, a radical new beginning, an opportunity for a collective rebirth. Wow. In the upcoming weeks, we will experience significant events and turning points that have the potential to shape the course of history. As Aries energy gains momentum and prominence, we are invited to step into a new level of responsibility for our choices and actions and align our personal will with something bigger than just our personal ambitions. The invitation for us is to make sure we act and initiate from a place of inner alignment rather than unconscious reaction, and allow old systems, old identities, and old illusions to dissolve to make space for something greater. Ashe. Yeah. Yeah. If you've never seen the movie Inception, you need to see it. I saw that thing about 21 times, and I think about the majority of those times was in a movie theater. But what's so beautiful about this movie is there's actual images that get shown of the illusions, what's in our belief system, how it just dissolves, it just disintegrates. Yeah, yeah. And it's really powerful, and I think we all need that visual to help us realize that this is what is going on. This is the time that we are living in. Hey, Q. Hey, Kwan. Good to see you're here. An amazing human being, of course. Daphne said, filled by relationship with life ourselves. Right. And so that whole message about stop being vacant. Stop having vacant self esteem. And you will have vacant self esteem if all you know how to do is imitate, follow behind, people please, status quo walk, you know, because you're afraid, because you want to stay comfortable, you want to stay secure. If you never pick up your little sack of bread, put it on a stick, get your dog, and go walking into the primeval forest, you will never, never get to know the truth of who you are. And of course, I'm talking about the symbolically, although some of us actually did do that. But it's really saying about, you have to let go of thinking that somebody else can tell you who you are and what you are. They can point in a direction, but it's all inside of you. And it's your job to excavate that. Yeah, get out your shovel and go in and find out what it is that you love, what it is that makes you excited, what it is that brings you peace of mind, that helps you feel peaceful. Yeah, this is powerful. This is a powerful time we are in. It really, really is. I just love this. So sit back, have some sip of water or some kind of juice, get hydrated, maybe get a little snack if you need it, because now we're going into the big stuff. Yeah, we're getting ready to go into big stuff right now. And we're going to start with today, February the 15th. And today we have the sun in Aquarius squaring Uranus in Taurus. So everyone gets a major dose of keen angst, regardless of their age, during this rebellious aspect. This is a day of power struggles between new thinking and old system. Focus on how you can use your power and influence to make a difference without being in battle. Remember the months. Be mindful, breathe, feel your heart. Yes. Stay mindful. So, so, so important. And some of you will feel this energy tomorrow. Okay. Or two, it might even spill over into Tuesday. I hope not, because wait till you see what's going on Tuesday. But yeah, but just keep in mind, like, we're in a in between place right now. We're in a bardo, leaving the old behind, going toward the new. But you ain't got to fight. You don't need to fight. And let me stop and say this right now, too. Okay. So there are many astrologers out there talking about Saturn in Aries as the spirit, Neptune in Aries. Yeah, I think it's Neptune in Aries as a spiritual warrior. Or it might be in Saturn. No, I think it's Neptune in Aries. That's a spiritual warrior. Let me tell you something. That's an oxymoron. You cannot put spirit together with warring. Okay. Warring is a three-dimensional thing. The spiritual is in a higher timeline. Now, If you think that you have to defend yourself and protect yourself from evil spirits by fighting them, good luck with that. Because in spirituality, in these higher dimensions, as soon as you engage with little Lucifer, as soon as you think, I'm gonna go to fight, you've lost. You lost. Ain't no spiritual warrior for people who are in this human existence. That's for people like Archangel Michael, and some of the other ones that, that's what they do. That's not for us to do. So don't listen to any information which says, okay, be a spiritual warrior. No, 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 no. If you want to rise above and get beyond your suffering, you cannot make it be about somebody else or something else. You have to do what the monks are telling you, which is you got to go in, you got to breathe, and as I'm always telling you, you got to do your inner work. You got to do the inner work. What is that? That's meeting your shadow. It's meeting those parts of yourself that you don't like, that you're letting run your show. Yeah, you gotta feel that pain. That's what it really comes down to. So ain't no war in that. Because if you worrying about feeling your pain, you just prolonging the time that you're gonna be suffering. So please remember that. There is no spiritual warrior. That's a very masculine, mindset that gets brought into spirituality. And it's okay, their testosterone, does that, but no, it doesn't work. Again, as soon as you engage in a battle in the higher dimensions, you have lost. Okay? Yeah. So please, please, please remember that. Absolutely. Daphne says, right. That always turns me off when I hear that spiritual warfare. That's crazy. Absolutely. And Tracy put her hands up. Woo! Yeah, it's a trap. It really is a trap. And again, it's a lower timeline understanding of what spirituality is. Spirituality is about surrendering to a higher order and direction. That's it. You cannot fight with God or anything connected to God. That ain't you. No, no, doesn't work. Does not work. So tomorrow, here we go. We have on the 16th a trine. We get some flow energy with Mercury in Pisces trining Jupiter, who is still retrograde in Cancer. So this optimistic aspect brings good news and hope for the future. This is a great day for making plans as the future looks bright. So how wonderful that, we get this flow energy showing up, because boy, do we need it. Because drum roll, let me find my drum roll. Let me give y'all a drum roll. Yeah, This is it. This is the time that is going to really open us up in ways we don't even know. Astrologers don't even understand this because this is like a lot. So here we go. Firstly, it is the day of the new moon in Aquarius, and the theme is embrace new ways of thinking, creating, and collaborating. And what you see on the side here in the picture are the aspects of Uranus in Taurus squaring this new moon, which is in Aquarius. So interesting. So here it is, embrace the new, taking place in the late degrees of Aquarius and tightly squaring Aquarius's ruler, which is Uranus. This dynamic lunation begins an unpredictable month, likely to be filled with accelerated change, unexpected surprises, and opportunities for quantum leaps into the future. This solar eclipse asks for a radical renewal of our relationship with our communities, with belonging, with technology, the internet, and the larger human collective. It invites us to break away from outdated ways of being, examine patterns that emerge in group settings, and embrace new ways of thinking, creating, and collaborating with another. Things can get dramatically charged when the Aquarian need to stay loyal to an idea clashes with what feels sustainable in real life. There's something that needs to break free before we can move into the new era. If something does get unsettled, it's because it no longer belongs to the next chapter. Aquarius new moon eclipse, fresh start. New moons are symbolic of new beginnings, so it's the perfect time to set new intentions and make new wishes. So, all you wisdom walkers out there, if you haven't yet set your personal annual commitments, it's okay. Wait until after Tuesday or do it at Tuesday because we needed this energy to really open us up so that we are setting intentions that are aligned with who and what and where we are now. Yeah. So this new moon is special because it's also a solar eclipse. You can think of a solar eclipse as a more dramatic and hyped up new moon, and it has the potential to bring about great change in our lives. If we've been dragging our feet and not making necessary changes, a solar eclipse can come along and give us a push we may not like, but we know we need. These changes can continue to occur as much as 6 months after the eclipse. Yeah, so you can count what is that like between now and July. This is quite a special day. Not only do we have the solar eclipse, but also the beginning of the Lunar New Year. For the Chinese, that's the horse, Mardi Gras or Carnival, Shrove Tuesday, and Ramadan beginning at sundown, followed by the start of the Lenten season, Ash Wednesday. And so Ramadan and Lenten season are parallel this year. That's again very rare and again very powerful in what it's saying because when you have all that many people focusing on a higher timeline, a higher order and direction, about being compassionate, considering others, letting go of things that are not, um, I will say this, letting go of things that keep us believing that nothing's going to change, that I can keep doing what I need to do and nothing's going to change, or letting go of things that you're attached to so that you get that experience of, yeah, I really can live without that candy. Yeah. Yeah. Really, really powerful. So this new moon represents the end of one cycle and the beginning of another new 28-day cycle. It gives an invigorating burst of energy and initiative. This new moon annular solar eclipse in Aquarius inaugurates the year of the fire horse in Chinese astrology, as well as the first eclipse season of 2026. Being the first eclipse in the sign of the water bearer, Aquarius, since 2018. There's that connection again. And this is especially significant. And again, a theme for the Chinese New Year is break away from outdated ways of being. Yeah, really powerful. So, just a little reminder because I talked about the year of the horse in my um, annual New Year's message, but just some of the characteristics to be mindful of. Energy, it's intense, action oriented, passionate, and restless. Themes: courage, forward movement, self expression, breaking traditions, and embracing adventure. Opportunities: breakthroughs in work and love, but requires balance, self awareness, self mastery, and steady planning. Challenges: potential for impulsiveness, needing mindfulness to avoid overthinking or rash decisions. How to use the energy: embrace movement, take bold steps, and act on goals. Balance: balance fire energy with water elements like fountains, and keep clutter minimal to allow good energy to flow. Yeah, yeah. Really, really powerful, that information. Yeah, Daphne, fire horse, no joke. Yeah. And it'll be 2 years of a fire animal for the Chinese, and, yeah, they know that the fire years are really powerful. You can look it up and see what has gone on in some previous fire years. But the fact that this fire horse is coming during this annular solar eclipse, which is that ring of fire, and that you have Neptune and Saturn conjunct and really coming to where they're going to be exact, just a few days later, 3 days later, in fact. Yeah, this is no joke. This is really, really powerful. And this eclipse can only be seen down under. So it can be seen over Antarctica. Yeah. Little parts, I think, of Australia. I'm not even sure of South America. Maybe at the very, very tip of, it's called Tierra del Fuego in Argentina. But yeah, it's so interesting, right? So this is a portal, right? An energetic portal that's opening up. What's coming out of that portal? And the horse is symbolic of it, right? The fire horse, like, okay, here we go. But it's coming from the bottom of the earth and it's going to move up. Yeah. So we should see some energies demonstrating this in the down under areas before it hits up into the northern hemisphere. So just take note of that. It's going to be really, really interesting. I thought that was really powerful. Like, whoa. Yeah. Yeah. And isn't that, like from the ground up, that when you build something new, right? You start at the ground. And so this also is a message of how the universe, the cosmos, the greater order and direction is building something for the earth. And our job is to be aware of that, to accept that, and then to integrate it into our personal lives. It's going to happen collectively, but in your personal life, think about, yeah, what am I building? What is the foundation that I want to build? How do I want to build it? Do I want to do it out of fear of survival, or do I want to do it out of love and out of being aligned with my sacred contract and my higher order and direction? Yeah. Isn't that beautiful? What an amazing opportunity that we get. Yeah, I'm so thrilled. Okay, so some more about this annular solar eclipse in Aquarius. The 2026 year of the fire horse is welcomed by a ring of fire solar eclipse. This new moon solar eclipse in Aquarius signifies powerful new beginnings focused on innovation, community, humanitarian efforts, challenging norms, and urging radical authenticity. I'll repeat that: radical authenticity. Yeah. This celestial phenomenon marks the start of a Leo Aquarius eclipse cycle for major growth and calling for bold, visionary action in your personal and collective life. It's a potent time for launching unique projects, connecting with like minded groups, and embracing spiritual transformation through new ideas. Wow. Wow. So I'm going to take you now through the aspects. And the aspects are, what other planets and what other heavenly bodies are in relation to and talking with this new moon, in a meeting with this new moon. What's going on? So, very interesting. Here we go. Something I've been talking about for a minute. New moon conjunct Mars and Venus. Yeah, baby. New opportunities for relational maturation. Woo! Since the new moon in Sagittarius that took place on December 20th, 2025, the relationship planets have been either conjunct or opposite all the new and full moons that occurred. Wow. This highlights the fact that collectively we are going through a process of relational maturation, change, and transformation of the way we connect, of our boundaries and standards, as well as how we express our needs, feelings, and desires and harmonize them with those of others. Mars and Venus's activation on this eclipse suggests the process will continue to unfold and deepen throughout the upcoming eclipse season. Wow. Here's some more. In particular, Mars being conjunct the sun and the moon invites us to take intentional and courageous action in alignment with our evolving values and desires. This is an opportunity to become more aware of how we assert ourselves and show up in conflict and explore the root of any impulsivity and defensiveness that may emerge with curiosity and a non judgmental attitude. Venus's proximity to the sun and moon and her exact conjunction with the North Node in Pisces emphasizes the karmic and evolutionary significance of this moment, particularly in the realm of relationships. This alignment invites us to release outdated ideals and fantasies about love that aren't grounded in reality and begin creating new relational patterns and dynamics. And so, folks, in a word, this is energy to help us stop being codependent and victimized in relationship. And that's male and female. Because my clients, people I talk to the one partner. It's like what this person's doing to me. I talk to the other partner. It's about what this person's doing to me. And so this comes out of, thousands of years of people coming together in relationship to survive, not to heal, not to grow, not to transform, not to evolve, but just to survive. And you know what? Over the last 6,000 years, yeah, that made sense. Because why? Yeah, because you out there, you gotta have somebody help you build that cabin and, or make that farm and take care of them animals. You didn't really care whether you loved them or not, or whether they knew what your soul was about or not. You didn't care about that. It's like, I gotta live. But guess what, folks? We're not there anymore. We're not in that kind of condition as humans on this planet. We have technology like a faucet you can turn on. You don't have to pump water out of the well anymore. And yes, there still are people with wells. I'm not saying that everybody's there with a faucet, but I'm saying enough of us are. Okay. Meaning that we are not in survival mode in the way that we were. So we need to be really thinking about and questioning, why do I want to be married? Why do I want to be in a relationship? The same thing with work. Why do I want that job? Is it just because that's the only way I think I can make enough money in the world? Do I want to create my own business? It's things like that that we need to be thinking about, talking about, and questioning, because relational maturation is essential to the children being able to be protected and safe in this world. It's essential. We got to come up out of this codependency. We got to come up out of this transactionality in relationship. And we've got to start to want to be with people who can provide us with emotional nutrition, who can see into our souls and support our happiness, wellness, peacefulness, rather than us believing they can make us happy. Because if you don't love yourself, if you're vacant self-esteem, there's nothing really inside of you. It's all dependent on how you look, how much money you got in the bank. If it's all externalized, yeah, ain't no love there. And what all of these aspects and all of how the cosmos is moving, it's saying to us, folks, you can have the love that you desire. It doesn't have to be an illusion anymore. Yeah. This is powerful. This is really, I can't say enough about this stuff. It is on. We can do this. We can create new relational patterns and dynamics rooted in love and not fear and survival. Okay, here's some more. Now, this is about the solar eclipse conjuncting the North Node. Trusting the path that begins to take shape. I love this. So, the South Node, and the nodes are invisible points in relation to the moon and the sun and the earth. Okay. So, the South Node is connected to where we come from, what feels familiar to us, tendencies we tend to unconsciously gravitate toward, and places where we get stuck. So, usually they'll say the South Node is about the past. The North Node's energy, on the contrary, feels foreign, unfamiliar, and more challenging. Its placement informs us of qualities we are asked to cultivate, develop, and embody in order to progress and evolve. And so, usually, you'll hear about the North Node as your future. But since January 11th, 2025, the North Node in Pisces has been asking us to learn to surrender, to practice simply being without always doing. As the North Node is now being activated, we are being asked to release our attachment to rigid plans, stop micromanaging life, and have more faith in divine timing and in the intelligence of change itself. The eclipse conjunct the North Node points at the importance of walking the path that starts to unfold, even if we haven't fully understood what it is about and where it is leading us. Okay, pause here. Let me go back to my venerable monks. Isn't that what they had to do? They had to really walk out on faith. They had to trust the goal that they had, the intention that they had. We're going to go to DC. But when people ask them, so when you get to DC, what you going to do? Like, we don't know yet. It'll get worked out. You know, that's what this is talking about. It's like the path that is set before you. So the lead monk got the vision and stuff. Then it's like, I want to do this. I want to do something about suffering in the world. And oh yeah, we monks know how to walk. Maybe we should walk in America. And then he calls out to, other monks and they say, yeah, we want to do that. That makes sense, right? But when they start on this journey, even though he had mapped it out, he talked about going up into Google Maps and stuff, mapping it out. But still, they really didn't know. Because until your foot comes down on that concrete, you don't know the path, but you walk it, you open to walking it. So, what they did over those 108 days to me is like they've lived this message for us. And so, please open to really recognizing, ask your ancestors, your God, your spirit guides, loving entities to help you get clear about what is the path that has opened for me. Okay. and put one foot in front of the other. Just start. But let go of micromanaging it. You don't need to know how the path is going to be, how it's going to work out. This is why the monk has had such success on their journey because they were totally surrendered. And I tell you, the juice wasn't in getting to Washington, D.C., the juice was in a journey. And they know that. And they were all transformed by that journey. They've been stretched and grown. They reached another level of enlightenment, 108 days, resisting temptation and defilement, you know. And this is what life is for us. This is what it's about. We keep thinking, and we teach our children this, go to school and then you'll get a good job and everything's going to be okay. And that's an illusion. That's an illusion. Going to school can't even give you your path. Can it give you supports for it? Yeah, but it can't give you your path. You have to open up to that. You have to be willing to find out what that is. Yeah, absolutely. So I love this. And this is Tuesday energy, folks, okay? This is this Tuesday with all of what's going on. And Daphne here says, yeah, there's a lot going on all at once. Absolutely. Absolutely. But I want you to understand why this is happening. It's because we have got to break out of thinking that we can know. If we know it, we're just repeating the past. It is time for us to really open up and give ourselves permission to learn what this new age, this new era is really going to be all about. Yeah, absolutely. Love it. Love it. So, Wednesday, the 18th, after all of that energy, Mardi Gras too, and, everything going on all at once, we get, ta-da! Pisces season. Yes, I should have done a drum roll. But yeah, I love my Pisces. I love my Pisces people out there. I love you, Pisces. So, happy birthday to all Pisces out there. Pisces is the last sign of the zodiac. The Pisces season is when we complete the 12-month cycle or one astrological year. The Pisces season has always been a good time to declutter the house, the body, the mind, and the soul. During the Pisces season, take some time to reflect on what this astrological cycle has meant for you and what you are moving towards or inviting in the next one. With winter soon coming to an end, and we're slowly coming out of our hibernation and back into the world. For the next 4 weeks, life will be inspirational and kind as we emerge from the cold days. Be prepared for a sudden rise in creativity around the world and an upsurge of your inner gifts. If you allow yourself to be different and weird, your style and artistic flair, with your style and artistic flair, you will surprise yourself and everyone with your level of genius this season. Doo-doo! Yeah. And thinking about the cold coming to an end. Oh, thank you, Maria Brown. Yes, yes, yes. My birthday is coming very soon. Love it. Um, you see, I have on my baseball cap. I'm California dreaming. I got my LA cap on because I can do it. It's like 45 degrees out there. When just about a week and a half ago, we were still experiencing sub-zero temperatures. So I think the north wind went to he taking a nap right now. And so he let his little baby brother, the south wind, come up into this area for a little bit. But don't worry, he's gonna slap him. He's gonna wake up. He's gonna wake up. Yeah, because this is still the middle of February. But in the meantime, I am so glad I'm comfortable enough in my house that I can wear my baseball cap and I don't have to put on my wool caps. So yeah, really cool. So here's another message for you about Pisces season. for the time we're in now, for 2026. This is about flowing into the new era. This year, the opening of Pisces season also acts as a buffer zone before the Saturn-Neptune conjunction at 0 degrees Aries on February 20th and into the 21st. This is the last inhale before a major shift. Just a few hours after the eclipse, the sun begins the end of his journey through the zodiacal wheel. The sun in Pisces, the last sign of the zodiac, guides us into a space where time doesn't exist. Boundaries aren't a thing, and everything seems possible. Yeah, that's the Pisces ability to always be thinking of happy endings, of good things coming. Pisces season is an invitation to explore how to be active participants in the flow of life while trusting divine intelligence and timing, like I was just saying. This time of year is all about closure, transition, and transcendence. The sun in Pisces is an invitation to put our creativity into service to something greater than ourselves and be particularly aware of the invisible ways we impact and are impacted by the collective field. Yeah. Yeah, just sweet, 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 sweet. So once again, happy birthday, Pisces, coming up. May this be a really wonderful flow season for Pisces people and all of us. We need that. Absolutely. And so, once again, this is it, folks. This is it. Saturn conjuncts Neptune at ground zero in Aries. And yes, this has not happened in 6,000 years. This exact conjunction of these two heavenly bodies in 0 degrees of the first sign of the zodiac. The date of the last time was something like 4,000 BCE. So you add 2,000 onto that. Yeah, it's been 6,000 years. So on February 20th into the 21st, just a few days after the start of eclipse season and the year of the fire horse, we finally experienced the exact conjunction of Saturn and Neptune at 0 degrees, 45 inches of Aries. The two planets have been conjunct for most of 2025, yet they were still completing their cycle. Now, Saturn finally crosses over Neptune, and the two planets begin a new cycle that will last until 2061. This conjunction happening on the potent 0 degrees of the first sign of the zodiac marks a threshold of a new era, a radical new beginning, and an opportunity for a collective rebirth. Yeah. This is why we came down to the planet, y'all. Everybody who is here, alive and breathing, has come to the planet for this new era to be birthed and to be opened. Yeah, absolutely. This is really powerful. This will never happen in anybody's lifetime that you know. Yeah, take another 6,000 years. Absolutely. So this is magical. I didn't want to um, just talk about, what are the energies of Saturn and what are energies of Neptune when they come together, because that's pretty elemental. You can find that out and how they support each other, although I give you a little bit of that. But what I really wanted to do is share with you Astro Butterfly's genius and in this analogy that she used to explain about this energy and this time. And I love it. I love it. She's so genius. So bear with me because I got 5 slides of information to share, and then I have a little picture for you that'll help too. But, yeah, I siphoned this down from her full report, which is on her website, on in her blog. I'll have all of those links in the description box below the YouTube for you if you wanna check the full thing out. But, yeah, I'm gonna give you a little walkthrough of this really, really insightful and powerful interpretation. Here we go. Saturn-Neptune conjunction in Aries, the analogy of the tablets of Mesopotamia by Astro Butterfly. If Saturn is the 3D reality we can relate to, Neptune is the meta level reality, the deeper reality underneath the forms. It is the one we've been pretending not to see or calling it illusion whenever our personal reality did not align with it. In the past decades, Neptune has moved through the last three signs of the zodiac: Capricorn, Aquarius, and Pisces. And we have watched entire systems of claims become instruments of power and control, corporate structures, financial abstraction, digital networks, invisible intermediaries. The collective world has become so complex that meaning gets lost inside the machinery itself. Things become so abstract that the average person can no longer see where value begins and where obligation ends, or who is truly accountable. Most of us have lost the thread and have no idea how the world works. Yeah. Now, I did miss the first one that I need to show you, so bear with me because I just put them up here wrong, and I need to give you the very first one. I think I did it backwards. That's what it's looking like. The slides are going backwards. Yeah, okay, I did it a little backward. Oh, no, you know what, folks? I left the initial one out. Okay, that's okay. So let me talk it, because what she's talking about, these tablets of Mesopotamia. Back in the day, in the BC day, in order to keep a chart of accounts, they would create these stone tablets and they would etch into the tablets what somebody paid for something, what somebody owed. After a while, these tablets would be so many and they'd be so full that they would just be like, okay, we can't keep account anymore. We don't know what's coming, what's going, and where at. So they would, especially when a new king came onto the throne, they'd just get rid of all the tablets, and they'd start from ground zero. Yeah. And so her analogy is saying that's kind of where we're at as a collective on this planet right now in regards to what's happening with finances and with debt. And as she just says in this first one, things are so out of control, you know, entire systems of claims have become instruments of power and control, all of this stuff. Invisible intermediaries. Yeah. And this complexity that goes on. Like today, when I was pulling all my slides together in this platform that I use, I realized it's more complex than it needs to be. It doesn't have to be this difficult to, end a particular part of the project you're working on so you can get to the next part. You shouldn't have to go looking for something. But again, when things are made up out of fear and out of competition and out of, yeah, then things get really complex. But as she says here, and I agree, most of us have lost the thread. We have no idea how the world works. And this is not only about institutions or corrupt politicians. Sure, whenever power is abused, there's an imbalance and someone carries the weight unfairly. But many times it is also our own participation, spending beyond our means, acquiring something that we haven't created value for yet, living dreams that have no possibility of being materialized, keeping ourselves busy with distraction instead of action, with consumption instead of creation. At an individual level, which is really the only place where we have any control and the only place where we should care about, especially since we're talking about 0 degrees Aries, it's about recognizing where we've been acting out of energetic debt. Life knows when something is outstanding and will eventually call it due. Neptune and Saturn at 0 degrees Aries in February 2026 is the moment when it gets called due. Energetic debt, y'all. Energetic debt. This is so powerful. It is so powerful. And it's what keeps us in this loop of not knowing what enough is, needing more, greed being amplified as something that's okay, when greed is one of the 7 deadly sins. They call it gluttony. So it's like, you know, all of this twisting that has happened, all of this, like I said, just the term spiritual warrior, saying that that's okay, you know? Um, yeah, all of that kind of stuff has created an energetic debt, because when you're not aligned with the truth of the cosmos, yeah, you got a debt to pay. It's called karma. Yeah, absolutely. So she's gonna go on to say, the conjunction asks us to come back to ourselves and live from who we are in the now. Living from who we are in the now means no longer saying yes when we mean no, giving away life force because we were conditioned to please, or allowing others to write the terms of our inner contract. Is that victimization stuff? It also means no longer hiding in complacency, postponing our calling, living beneath our potential, or consuming comfort without creating value. Whether this comes upstream or downstream, whether it is due to others taking too much or us giving too little, it means recognizing that living on borrowed terms pulls us away from full authorship of our life. Okay, let me break this down to you a little more, because I am a baby boomer and I was in the 1980s when, for the first time at that young age in our 20s, we had access to wealth. We had access to abundance. I think I made more money than my mother at that time, and she'd been working for years. And so the credit cards became a thing. And let me tell you, they took me down a hole, because it was almost like so easy to get whatever and as much of what I wanted, that I was just out of control, because it had no value. It really had no meaning. I was just consuming to consume. It was the in thing to do. I had wardrobe, I had shoes, I was flying here and there and everywhere. It was eating in I think I ate in every restaurant on the Upper West Side of Manhattan. I ain't lying to y'all. I mean, it was crazy. So my generation definitely has brought this into into this world, but now it's time to stop. Now it's time to reclaim the truth about the fact that you cannot live off of promissory notes. In the slide I didn't show you, she does talk about how right now in the world, the GDP, which is the gross domestic product, meaning the annual income for countries, you know what it is? It's 300% debt, meaning what these countries are bringing in from the sale of their goods or from travel, tourist stuff, whatever, they still 300% over their debt, meaning they ain't got no real money. It's all debt. So there's like no grounding for the future. And all God's got to do is send an asteroid to hit them satellites and take out enough of them, and we won't know what to do. So, what she's saying is that this energy is really coming and asking us to reclaim the truth and to let go of that illusion that you really can own and you really can possess out of this. Yeah, I'll pay that tomorrow. And now I know that there is a way that having some credit can make a difference in your life. I know, like, when my family moved up from Wilmington, Delaware to Staten Island, just like any other immigrant family, had people, adults in the house working around the clock. And so in order to get like a table and chairs, there was this man named Mr. Brown, and he would come around and he would say, "Okay, I can get you your table and chairs, and all you need to do is pay me $25 every month for the next 6 months." Or something like that. And he come around with his little pad because he writing down, what you owed, and then, and that's how people made it. But again, like I said, by the time I came along in the 80s, it was just crazy, and it's just gotten more out of control, more out of control. So, really know that we're moving into a time when there's an energy to support you and not living out of your means, of learning what enough is, of not consuming just to consume, but to really want to have things in your life that really are aligned with your higher timeline and with your purpose. To really, really know that you can live in this world without a credit card. You really can. It can be done. I live without a credit card, and I've been without a credit card for many, 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 many years. But when I need to go somewhere, I get there, it all happens. I pull my money from my debit card. So if it's not in my bank account, it ain't there. And I'm not gonna go. I can't go because it ain't there. I'm not trying to act like I know that I should make something happen when it ain't supposed to happen. Yeah. This is really, really, really powerful, and, I really do encourage you to read this full report that she wrote. Um, but I'm gonna give you, again, some of what she's talking about, how we can shift this up. So she says, with Neptune and Saturn leaving Pisces and meeting at 0 degrees Aries in February 2026, we are invited to cross the threshold from illusion into reality, from borrowed time into the now. If Neptune at 0 degrees Aries comes to reveal this was never real, Saturn says, then let's build what is. Neptune conjunct Saturn at 0 degrees Aries is a new tablet, a new contract, a new beginning. It is the ending of a life lived on borrowed terms. It is a once in a lifetime chance to return to essence, start from truth, and inscribe something real. Beautiful. And here's my little depiction of it for you. There you have Neptune saying, "This was never real." And then you got Saturn saying, "Then let's build what is. Yeah, let's handle this." And then you got Aries, like the all-seeing shaman, up here holding space for that to happen. Absolutely. Absolutely. I just love that. And Daphne says, "It doesn't have to be an illusion anymore." No, it does not. No, it does not. My grandparents, born in the first decade of the 20th century, got married at the beginning of the financial collapse in 29. And, they lived their life without credit cards and bought a house that I and my siblings and my mom and other people who come to visit could be in. I mean, my grandfather, just amazing how he managed his money to take care of the family without a credit card. And they knew what happiness was. It wasn't in what clothes you had and what you're buying. It was all about, family being together, being supported, taking care of neighbors, taking care of the community, living life fully to experience the path that was open to them, you know, and knowing what enough is. I can tell you that one of the reasons I have no fear of aging, I'm not trying to get rid of my wrinkles as they're showing up, it's like, no, I ain't getting no surgery on my eyes or anything. No, because I watched my grandparents love themselves unconditionally and allow themselves to just be and focus on what was really important, which is, are the grandkids okay? How are they doing in school? Are they reading enough? Are they eating enough? Are they eating good food? I mean, it was like they had a mission, they had a purpose, let's take care of the family. Let's make sure everybody is okay, and everybody would knock on the door, as my grandfather, because jack of all trades. He could fix electrical wires and, do a little carpentry, do a little roof work, do stuff in the garden. Yeah. And people would knock on the door to ask me, "Mr. Brown, can you help me with my car?" And my grandma too, she would have people over for tea or have some soup. I mean, they lived an honest life and very peaceful. Not a lot of mess going on. So I know it's possible. I know that it is very possible. And we don't have to be afraid of dying. We don't have to be afraid of letting go of things that don't serve us anymore, people, places, and things. Yeah. And that we can really, like the monk said, choose to learn how to train our minds, not be in reaction or giving into temptation of things, but to really, really be okay with, may you be well, peaceful, and happy. I'm good. Yeah, absolutely. So, latest part of the video over several times because the messages are deep. There's a lot of meaning in all of this, and it will come to you as you need it, what you want to siphon out of this. But it really is letting us know that we cannot go back to the 1980s. Okay, lifestyle of the rich and famous is not what we need. And, just a nod to who's in the Epstein files shows us that people with all this money, all this fame, all of this whatnot, defile themselves. Why? I don't know. Deepak Chopra, he can't even, somebody approached him, a reporter, to try to give him a chance to say, "What's going on here, Deepak? You wrote all those beautiful books and stuff." And he couldn't even talk. He couldn't give an answer. That in itself is incriminating. But it's again a big message coming to all of us that the money will not make you happy, and that if you really feel that life is about possessing fame, fortune, that you will get corrupted. You will get corrupted. You gotta have something inside yourself. And if you haven't addressed your pain body, there's nothing in there that you can get access to because the pain body running the show. Yeah. All right. Moving right along, here are the final aspects for this month. And one I had mentioned in the announcement for this, but it's it's important. But this other stuff just like, like knock it out of the water, but it is important. So first on Sunday, next Sunday, February 22nd, we get again a flow energy. Thank goodness after that conjunction. This is Pisces, Venus in Pisces trining Jupiter again, who is retrograde in Cancer. Valentine's Day may be over, but today is a romantic day, ideal for dating and mending relationships. Use this optimistic energy to put yourself out there, declare your love, and just have some fun. Yeah. And remember, putting yourself out there is not about presenting yourself as a sexual object or treating somebody else like a sexual object. Putting yourself out there just means you're opening up to the cosmos to say, I'm open to receiving what is in alignment with the truth of who I am and my higher timeline. Okay? That's what that's about. But don't be trying to conditionalize and transactionalize, having somebody in your life. I was talking to somebody recently who was in a relationship, a long-term relationship, and just fussing, complaining. And I asked them, I say, so why do you stay? Why don't you just leave? And they thought for a minute and they said, I don't want to be alone. And I said to them, you need to learn how to love yourself. Because if we love ourselves, we are never alone. We are never alone. No. So loneliness is, again, a message to you about your vacant self esteem. There's nothing inside you that you can hold on to that you're connected to enough so that you don't need to be siphoning off of other people's energy, whether that is good or bad. Because when your focus is on fear, I don't want to be alone, you'll take whatever you can get. Like a vampire, you don't care. You grab a pig, he grab a mouse and grab a rat if he can't get somebody's neck, you know. So yeah, this is about we really, really have to understand that. Yeah. No more codependency. This energy coming in is not gonna allow it. It is not going to allow it. Yeah. And then on Wednesday, the 25th, guess what, folks? Guess what? You got it. Mercury's going retrograde in Pisces. Woo! The first of three Mercury retrogrades in 2026 begins on February 26th when the messenger planet, enjoying an in progress visit to Pisces since February 10th, spins backward in the compassionate sign until March 20th. Nevertheless, this aspect also indicates heightened possibilities of experiencing a strong sense of confusion, misunderstandings, and brain fog. Mercury's retrograde journey through Pisces is a powerful opportunity to deepen our inner and spiritual exploration, revisit recent events, and renew our trust in life and in our inner guidance because it's got that Pisces energy. And more message. As the calendar month comes to a close, Mercury stations retrograde in Pisces. Mercury's first retrograde of 2026 is an invitation to turn inward, slow down, and focus on developing our intuition, going inside, folks, and nonverbal communication. It invites us to deepen our awareness of the way energy speaks by itself. Master our ability to shift our frequency, be mindful, and come into contact with the spiritual gifts that are inherent to all of us. Mercury retrograde in Pisces encourages us to listen more carefully to our intuition, to our inner voice, to the voice of our soul, and go beyond rational and linear thinking. This transit offers us the opportunity to embrace a more heart centered way of showing up in our daily lives and highlights the importance of carefully discerning the thoughts we dwell on and the words we speak. Yes, because and the monks did a good job of this too. They understand energy so good. And the monks said, if you're not at peace, if you're frustrated all the time, you're resentful, angry, frustrated, that's an energy you're sending out to the cosmos. And that's what's going to come back. And they said that's why there's so much chaos and upset and stuff going on in the world. And, it's because we have put out so much negativity, so much fear. So during this retrograde until the March 20th, give yourself a chance to go in, learn the monk's breathing technique. It's wonderful. I've been using it. It really, really is very helpful. I think it can knock out a lot of anxiety for people that um, haven't found enough of a way. Yeah, it's very powerful. But again, go in and really, really give yourself some time to start cleaning out resentment, anger, frustration. Get yourself into your peace. Use this retrograde to really grow your ability to embrace peacefulness, happiness. Remember those happy endings I'm always talking about? Yeah, exactly. And then the final aspect for February. Again, there's only 14 of them, but it's just jam-packed with, so much energy, right? And oh wait, this is not the last two. So the first one is a square, and this is Mars in Aquarius squaring Uranus in Taurus. And this impulsive aspect can make us feel a little reckless today as we rebel against authority and try to go our own way. However, fighting just for the sake of it can lead to severe consequences. Have a plan before you smash up your life. Yeah, that's what the square energy is about. And again, it's another call for us to be mindful, be mindful, be mindful. And then, last but not least, this wonderful conjunction of Mercury retrograde in Pisces, conjunct Venus in Pisces. Wear your heart on your sleeve today as you can easily express your feelings to others and feel understood by the people who love you. Let it all out today. Wow. Wow. Isn't that sweet? This is very, very sweet. What a great ending, right? To such a powerful, whew, rare, epic, month of cosmic weather. Yeah. And Maria's Pisces, Miranda's a Pisces. All the Pisces people showing up. Ah, so I want to remind you cosmically about this aspect so that you keep up being hopeful and looking toward a new earth consciousness growing on this planet, one of love, compassion, kindness, peacefulness, because that magic triangle with those outer planets of Uranus, Neptune, and Pluto coming together in a very rare configuration. Okay. They call it the magic triangle. It will definitely impact Aries, Gemini, and Aquarians, but for all of us, it's an amazing period we're in of discovery and revelation. And this is from now into 2028. So something wonderful for us to look forward to. Yeah. I also want to thank everybody who joined the monks virtually, or if you're watching, you were able to get there. I'm so jealous to be around them physically. the monks on this journey where they have really, really disrupted some old patterns and brought to us a new energetic of the new earth that we can all tap into. And their peace dog, Aloka, amazing. Thank you, thank you, thank you for all who were praying for them, following their journey, and just doing again what they have given us the keys to. So I want to remind you, when you wake up every day, before you really start getting ready, even getting on your phone, take out that piece of paper and write, today is going to be my peaceful day. Ashe. Ah, I made it. Almost at 2 hours. I thought that it would take that kind of time. But it's so important that you have an awareness about these energies that are going to be going on, and that you don't fall into a victim consciousness, that you don't believe that you're losing anything that is important for you to have. Whatever is being taken from us is supposed to be, because there are new things coming in. Trust it, trust it, trust it. So the 17th and the 20th to the 21st are the real impact days that you want to be conscious of. I'd say lay low as much as you can on Tuesday, and the same thing on Thursday into Friday. Lay low as much as you can and just be with this energy again. This will never happen again in our lifetime. So it is very sacred, it's very important, and we can take it seriously. We can take ourselves seriously so that we can benefit from this new, amazing, cosmic divine energy that's come in. It's like Three-Eye Atlas. Three-Eye Atlas to me was the opening messenger in the heavens saying, okay, it's coming. And yeah, you're not going to know what it is. You're not going to understand it completely. Yeah. And these interpretations I've shared with you, are coming from, people like Astro Butterfly, like she's just genius. But even she'll tell you that she doesn't know the whole story. None of us can know that. But let's be willing to open up and learn. Yeah, we can learn, and we can do this together. We really can. Yeah, Tracy said, "Whoo, that is a lot." It is, Tracy. I can tell you, I am going to eat a little something now, and then I'm going to lay myself down because I have been worked by reading all the stuff I had to read, watching videos on it, and then trying to siphon it down in a way that, we can understand it and have conversation about it. Yeah. So, my darlings, thank you so much for listening in and watching and holding space for me as I got through all of this incredible information. Um, I'm looking forward to what March is going to bring us, or how that's going to roll out after all of this. And yeah, I will be very interested to learn from you, what has occurred for you personally, or what you're noticing collectively over this next month. Yeah. So we will definitely talk about that and make that happen. So in the meantime, take great care of yourselves. You are amazing. You're here in this for a reason. It's going to be beyond anything that any of us could imagine. So thank you, thank you, thank you. And as the monks say, may you be well, may you be peaceful, and may you be happy. Good night now. Oh, Hector, you are so welcome, my darling. Love you.